Well, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I told some folks over here, gosh, we have some real people, not just candidates. That's great. Want to welcome you this evening, those who are here and those who are joining us via Facebook. It is a privilege to sponsor this event tonight. I want to start out really by saying thank you to the candidates. Thank you for your willingness to serve. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, and we truly appreciate the effort you're making and the sacrifice that you and your family makes, and again, just your willingness to serve your fellow man, your fellow citizens. We are going to go in ballot order. This was a random draw back during our ballot drawing, and we'll go by office. Even those who are unopposed will have the opportunity to speak if they would like to. And fairly informal, you're a candidate, you want to get your message out there, and so we'll just open the floor. If anyone has any questions, feel free to come to the microphone if there's something you're wondering about. We will, I don't think we have any statewide candidates here, so we'll move on down our list. We are honored tonight to have both of our state representative candidates here. That takes some effort to drive an hour down here in this nasty weather, and so we really appreciate that. First on the list by order of ballot is our current state representative, Chris Patty. Come on up, Chris.
You may want to move the top mic up just a little bit. I think there's some feedback.
Move it up a little bit.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay, out a little bit.
Yeah.
I ought to be able to work one of these things since I'm in the radio business myself. But it's great to be with you tonight. Yeah, a little bit of feedback here. I'll step back. Good to be with you tonight. A lot of you I know already. For those I don't know, I am Chris Patty, your elected state representative, who currently is serving in third term, seeking a fourth term with your support. And for those who do know me, you know a little bit about my background and the fact that I was born just up the road here, where the hospital used to be. Anybody else knew Dr. Hooker delivered you? Yeah, I figured there'd be some hands that would go up there. So I was born here. My family is from here. Obviously, my last name is Patty, but my mom was a Bush. So if you know any Bushes or Livingstons, don't blame all of that on me. I did claim some of them. But we're related to a lot of folks down here. Grew up in Carthage, and then my wife and I make our home in Marshall now. Moved there when we bought the radio station there back in 2002. So pretty much I've lived in East Texas all my life, except for that short time of going to Texas A&M and then going to Houston for about 6 years. But East Texas is home and where we wanted to be, and so we moved back here to start our family. Prior to the legislature, I served locally on the Marshall City Commission as mayor of Marshall, and then ran for the House back in 2012, and have been serving now for 3 terms. As we move forward and get ready for early voting to begin just a week from today, and I know for the candidates in the office, in the audience, you can't get here fast enough, and because it is challenging not only for you but for your families. I know that, and so we appreciate your sacrifice. I'd also like to say my opponent, Garrett and I have known each other for about 15 years, and I have great respect for him and his family, and I have great respect for anyone who's wanted to throw their hat in the ring to serve their community. And so certainly I want to point that out as well. However, I want to stand here before you today as your elected state representative and tell you that you've sent me down there for 3 terms to represent the district, to represent the values that you and I share as someone who was born here and raised pretty close to here and who has family here. I can tell you that always my first priority is to represent this district. That is above all other things. And occasionally that's going to upset some folks, but that's okay. They're not the ones that elected me to go represent them. And so I will commit to you that I'm going to continue to do that. and put this district ahead of everything else. As far as some of the issues and where I stand, obviously being raised in this area, we're going to share a lot of the same values. When it comes to the issue of being pro-life, I am 100% pro-life. And that is based on a record, a 3-term record of 100% rating of pro-life. And so I don't apologize for that to anyone as a product of who I am and my faith and the values that we share here in East Texas. When it comes to immigration and border security, we have a strong record in that area as well. We have committed over $1.6 billion in border security and adding 250 additional troopers in the border region to try to do what the federal government has failed to do, and that's do their job as it relates to illegal immigration and border security. Just this session, we got passed, and I was proud to co-author, a ban on sanctuary cities in this state. And so we got that passed this session as well. When it comes to the Second Amendment, something we hold here near and dear here in East Texas, of course, I have a strong record there as well. I'm the only candidate in this race who is A-rated and endorsed by the NRA and the Texas State Rifle Association. And that's not based on a survey that I filled out. That's based on a 3-term record of how I vote on Second Amendment issues. In the area of taxes, I have a strong record there. As I served locally in the Marshall City Commission, I never raised taxes. And since I've been in the state legislature, we've cut state taxes by $5 billion. My record speaks very clearly in that area as well. So I don't want to filibuster up here because I'm not in the House. I'm in the House, not in the Senate. The senators are the ones that filibuster, so I'm not going to take all the time here. But most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming out and engaging in this. I think it's critically important that folks get involved and truly understand where folks stand, that they know that those folks share the values that they hold dear, because you send me there to be your voice, to represent the values of this community. The people of Center and Shelby County expect that. And I've been honored to do that for 3 terms, and with your support, I'll be honored to do that for a 4th term. So I look forward to any questions you may have. Obviously, we're going to hang out here as long as you folks have questions. But as we get ready for early voting to start a week from today, I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. And now the other candidate for state representative is Garrett Boersma.
Thank you. It's a real privilege and honor to be with you tonight. My name is Garrett Boersma, and I'm from Marshall, Texas. I grew up in the Marshall, Texas area. My mother's side of the family moved to Marshall in the early 1800s. And I grew up in the area, moved often to work for many years. My background professionally is in finance, in particular commercial real estate lending and commercial real estate finance. And I've also worked for many years in commercial real estate development and construction. I've owned my own businesses for most of my career and continue to do so today. And I'm proud to say that's one of the chief areas of experience that I draw from and hope will be useful if I'm elected. Like I said, I'm from the Marshall area. I'm engaged to marry John Fitzgerald from Tyler, Texas, and we look forward to making our home in the East Texas area. Chris, I want to acknowledge you and thank you again. We're in the habit of doing this a little bit, but I don't think you can say it enough, because anybody that serves in office, that's a real sacrifice, both away from work and family, so thank you. And I respect you and I appreciate your sacrifice and service. This is an important election. A lot of people have been watching the direction of our country, of our society for the last several years, and it's becoming really, really important that we really pay attention to the details as far as what's happening in politics and what people are doing, not just what they're saying. I believe that this is a very conservative state, a very conservative district, and consequently, one of the reasons that I wanted to run was I felt like we needed to have more conservative representation and a more conservative result from the state of Texas in how we're being governed. And I want to get into that a little bit. But I do believe I'm the only conservative in this race, and what I mean by that is that it's important that we maintain a relationship with government, maintaining the scope, size, and involvement in government in our lives that allows free enterprise to flourish and for us to retain the freedoms that we've grown accustomed to. One of the things I want to talk about is the fact that the state of Texas, our spending, has grown dramatically. It's grown dramatically over the last 10 years. And specifically what I mean by that is over the last 10 years, it's increased by $44 billion. Now, our current budget is about $216 billion for every 2 years. So what I'm telling you is that the state of Texas has increased spending dramatically. All the while, we currently have over $141 billion in debt, liabilities, and obligations we've accumulated as a state. So what I want to submit to you is that we're not operating our state and making budgetary decisions that are fiscally conservative. One of the most important issues to me is education. I want to make it real clear that I'm a proponent and a supporter of public education. It's a chief focus of mine that we work hard to improve public education and the results we're getting. One thing that I'm really focused on is career and technical education, vocational education. And one of the disappointing elements of the most recent budget is that we cut Texas State Technical College. And so we have to pay attention to the details about what's happening at the state and the consequences to the state as a whole and how it affects us in our district. So I'm offering you an alternative. I want you to have an alternative for someone who will vote conservatively, vote fiscally responsibly, understand the impact of these decisions that we're making, and try to understand or try to make a decision that reflects our district. My opponent is one of the most liberal rated members of the Texas House. And I think that is a concern because this is one of the more conservative districts and areas in Texas. I'm endorsed by Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, Young Conservatives of Texas, Texas Right to Life, Grassroots America We the People, and Texas Values. So decisions matter. This election matters. How we run the state, how we budget at the state matters tremendously. I didn't touch on it, but in case it doesn't come up in questions, I want to emphasize that the reason I brought up those budgetary numbers is that we're spending all that money, but we're not taking care of core promises and issues like paying for our teachers, retired teachers, health insurance, okay? That program is really struggling right now because it hasn't been adequately funded. So I ask for your vote, I ask for your support, and I appreciate the opportunity tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is District Judge, 273rd Judicial District. The only candidate for that position is Jim Payne. Okay, y'all let us know if you can't hear.
Hello, everybody. I am one of the luckiest candidates 73rd Judicial District. That judicial district has Shelby County, Sabine County, and St. Augustine County. I was born and raised in Hemphill. I've practiced law here in Center with the Fairchild Law Firm for 23 years. I tried a lot of lawsuits. I added up all the counties that I tried lawsuits in. There's about 15 different counties here in East Texas, in both state court and federal court. The point of that is that I'm not a big fancy lawyer. The point of that is that I've been in front of a bunch of judges, okay? And I know what it takes to make a good judge, and I think I can do that. Just looking at the crowd here, I see a lot of people that I do know. I see some people I don't know. I look forward to meeting everybody. After we're done, if anybody has any questions for me, please seek me out. I'd be happy to tell you about me or anything I can. So thank you very much.
Okay, we have another lucky duck. Our county judge and the only candidate for that position is Allison Hardison.
Well, I'm going to stand down here, and I also want to reiterate what Mr. Payne said, and I'm glad he didn't use my line because I gave him a really good line.
You did.
And I told him that in elections, because I've ran opposed before and then I've ran unopposed, and I told him in an election, it's always easier to run lonely instead of scared. He said he's used it several times, so I was really glad he didn't use it tonight. So I'm very happy that I'm running lonely this time, but I'm also very, very proud to serve you as your county judge. And you know, as always, as most of you have been in and out of my office, it's always open, my door's always open, and I'm always here to help the citizens of the county. Thank you.
The only candidate for district clerk is Lori Oliver. The only candidate for county clerk is our current county clerk, Jennifer Fountain. Jennifer, you want to stand away? You want to say anything? Or?
So, and I know all the candidates, and I did want to just say thank you for your support for all the candidates in the county. And we start early voting in my office Tuesday, March 20th? February 20th. See, I told y'all.
That's wishful thinking.
And I think Chris Daly said that candidates are always looking forward to early voting starting. I'm ready for it to be over. Anyways, I look forward to seeing all of y'all. Thank you.
We have two candidates for county treasurer. They are both here tonight. First, we'll hear from the incumbent, Ann Blackwell. Okay, so this is absolutely the worst part of this. What I do behind my desk, I do, and I do it well, but what I do behind the microphone, not so much. So, but first I would like to thank Lee and the Republican Party for putting on this event for us. I think it's a good way for us to tell you what we stand for and give you our background and, you know, hopefully give you what you need to make the decisions that you need to make. And yes, I'm so nervous. First of all, a lot of you know me, a lot of you do not. I am Ann Blackwell, I'm the current Shelby County Treasurer. I was born and raised right here in Shelby County, graduated from Center High School in 1974. Right out of high school, I went to work as a bookkeeper for Bill Hancock Chevrolet. And that's what I've pretty much done all my life is bookkeeping. And about 20 years of my accounting experience comes from governmental and nonprofit background. Before I ran for the office of treasurer, I did my homework on the office and what it was and what I needed to know to go in there and do a good job. And I believe that the treasurer's office is not what it used to be years ago. The office has changed. A lot of duties have been added to that office, and it is more of an accounting office now. And I just think that's very important to do the job correctly and do it efficiently. I've also made changes since I came into office in January of 15.
First of all, I want to tell you why that I think experience is important going into that office. When mistakes are made, they can be extremely costly in the treasurer's office. When you go into a business, sometimes if you ask for their chart of accounts, they'll give you a couple of pages. My chart of accounts is 49 pages long. It takes a 1-inch binder to hold my chart of accounts. Each month, I have approximately 94 separate funds that have to be accounted for, balanced, and reconciled to our general ledger. Let me get my breath. I have 25 separate checking accounts that I reconcile every month. Just the general fund bank statement alone is over 100 pages. That's why I reconcile that every day, so I don't have that to look forward to at the end of the month. I also have 5 investment accounts that I reconcile every month. When money's brought to my office, it's not just a matter of writing a receipt. It has to be broken down and recorded to all the proper accounts. Every month I get a check from the district clerk and the county clerk. And just those 2 checks alone are broken down into up to 46 different accounts. And if they're not accounted for properly, you may be paying money to the state, which happened several years back, and it took almost 2 years to get it back. So you just have to understand where that money is broken down to. There's other fees that come in when the JPs bring their money in. Theirs is the same way. They have fees and fines. A lot of those are added together. We get to keep part of that, part of it we don't. It has to go to the state. Those have to be coded into like 64 different codes to make sure that they go on the correct quarterly report, which there's 7 quarterly reports that go to the state and other entities to distribute that money. So you can see why I feel that experience is important coming in there to know how to understand accounting. Just some of the things that I've done since I've been in there. One was when I first came into office, one of the constables came in and he had a handful of cash, and I thought, oh my goodness, what do I do with that? So, I want to thank the constables and the JPs because they have been all very good to work with me, let me implement some reports and things to do things a little differently to make sure that everything that comes in there is accounted for properly. The one thing that we did with the constables, I fixed up a very simple report for them. Now when they, once a month, they bring me a report, it shows what money they collected, who they collected it from, when, and the case number, cause number. I can match that to the JP reports because most of their money goes through the JP now and not directly to them. Occasionally it does. But that way I can reconcile that with the JP report, and everybody, the whole thing is about financial transparency, and that makes that happen. So thank you, constables, for being good about doing that. Another thing I did was to just look at some of the daily expenses, just some of our services that the county was utilizing. And one of the first ones that really proved to be about a year-long job trying to get it all figured out and worked out was our phone service and our long distance. And thanks to a tip from Panola County, we got our long distance from paying about $1 a minute to about 1 cent per minute. And we had telephone landlines that we were paying anywhere from $25, $30 up to $120 per line. And we got about 80 lines throughout the county. So I got a good contact with AT&T and we went to work on it. We got the long distance changed, we got those phone lines changed. So just in that first year, by just looking at that, we saved right at $70,000. And you add that up every year, that's a lot of money. In fact, that was our first year, and that was the year we were able to finally give some pretty good raises because we had some money. Another thing that I did, I noticed that the first Commissioners Court meeting I went to, they were getting a stack of paper that was like a ream of paper, and it was the complete entire financial statement. And you know, I was pretty sure the commissioners did not look through all that. So, anyway, I talked with them and I tried to figure out what they needed. And so with their help, and can't give enough credit to the help I've received for the last 3 years by our county auditor. He's amazing, by the way. To streamline those reports. They now get about 5 pages. They get their financial report, they get our cash report, they know where we are financially, they get their own budget report, they get our investment report, and that's what they want to see. So that's what they're getting. And I've just, I've done some other things where to prevent duplicate payments, to make sure the correct payments. I'm just live and breathe Excel. Everything I have is on an Excel spreadsheet. So, but I really have worked hard to try to make the Treasurer's Office an office of integrity, financial transparency, and efficiency. And I think I've done that. And there's a lot more I would like to do in there. So, I'd really appreciate your vote and your support. Probably the best compliment, and I'll close with this because my mouth is getting so dry, is I had another elected official come to my office, and he came in and he said, well, I wanted to come see you. I heard you run a real tight ship over here. And, I thought, that's a compliment, and I appreciate that, because I'm trying. It's not always the popular way, but it's the right way. So, thank you.
Sorry. That's okay. The other candidate for the office of treasurer is Donna Whitney.
That's right, this is the worst part. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Donna Whitney, and I'm running for the office of county treasurer. My husband is now deceased, but we moved here with our children 40 years ago this year, so Shelby County's home. We felt so blessed to be able to raise our children, our son and our daughter, here in beautiful East Texas. For the last 15 years, I've been a kitchen designer for Lowe's. Drafting and design is part of my background. I went to Sam Houston University right out of high school and returned to college at Trinity Valley in Athens in 1990. And I took an architecture course that included AutoCAD, so I could learn how to draft on computer. That's computer-aided drafting and design, CAD. I ended that course with a 4.0 GPA. And I also have a background in treasury. I was the treasurer of a church for 4 years, and I owned my own business for 5 years. So I have 9 years of experience in the usual checks and balances, debits and credits, all that of running the books of business or as a treasurer. And I believe that 9 years experience will serve me well to serve well the citizens of Shelby County. And I feel honored at the confidence and the encouragement I've had from people who believe I can do a good job as their treasurer. And I just want to thank you all for being here tonight, for your time, your attention, and your votes, and may God bless Shelby County.
The next office down the list is County Commissioner Precinct 2. Jimmy Lout is the only candidate for that position. The next position has a long list. The next position on the list is County Commissioner Precinct 4. There are 4 candidates for that position. The first name on the list in order is the incumbent, Bradley Allen.